everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Glimwood, my haunted Fairycore Island, and we are hanging out in the entrance, which was the last build on this island. So the last video we did a villager search where we found Julian, my new baby unicorn. And today, if you cannot tell by the title, is we are going to be building a swamp on this island. So I mentioned when I first started that I wanted to have a swamp. This is where the swamp is going to be, not but where I'm out looking. And as you can see, I built this little plateau for a viewing platform with some ramps. And it's going to go from the river mouth and out, and it's also going to house both Shino and Genji. It's supposed to be Shino's solo swamp, but Genji came into my heart, so he will share it with her. And if you guys want to know what this is just a in-process build. This is going to be Coco's house eventually, so ignore this, but this needed to be here so I could plan the swamp. And yeah, so we're going to do a little swamp here. I'm trying to run over to the river mouth. Here we go. So I'm going to extend this river mouth out. I'm probably going to send it downwards so there'll be some water, and then we'll branch out with some cliffs and then eventually have both houses over here. Seems like a lot. So let's get into the video and I will check back in with you soon. Hello, this is future voiceover Viv, who is going to be walking you through everything that I'm doing. So right here I am working on extending the river mouth. I'm having it go diagonally so it can fall nicely against the cliff. And so it kind of looks like that it's all flooded in that area. And here I am trying to map out the other end of the swamp, as I now realize I need to put a bridge in this build if I'm going to have all this water here. Did not plan this very well, as you can see. So here's me mapping out a diagonal bridge, and if you want to know how to make a diagonal bridge, I kind of went over it in my last video because there was a diagonal bridge in my entrance. But I start by making a diagonal line with about 4 little squares, and then I go about 2 to 3 spaces over and I make another diagonal line, and then I kind of fill in that area as you see them doing here. I don't really care about the top and bottom. I care just mostly about the sides and getting them straight and not jagged. You'll see that I straighten those out in a minute. But otherwise I let it kind of do its own thing because I'm going to obviously change more of the water once the bridge is in. But I have a hard time designing islands when the rivers and bridges and stuff are not set before I build an area. So that's what I'm doing here. And you're seeing me just knocking out this little area quickly. Perfect. And then here's me placing the bridge. I decided this looked really good. I decided to go with a suspension bridge for this area. I don't really use the suspension bridges all that much, but I thought it would be a really nice fit for a kind of more natural area. And then over now I'm kind of working on filling out the water at the end of it. And I'm extending the water here. This is not what the water's gonna finally look like on that end, but I needed to put something in so I could start mapping out the cliffs. And when I do lookouts, what I do is you'll see me going over here is I'm gonna look to see where I put those markers. And those are too far for me. You'll see me, I'm about to move them closer. But that's kind of how I map out overlooks, is I start with like just a pillar or two across the area, and then I'll go to where I want the lookout to be and look over, and if they're too far or too close or whatnot, then I'll make adjustments then. So here I am just actually starting to shape out the cliffs. I'm starting with like a large rectangular area, and then I'll go back in and start refining it. And as you can see over here, I need to have some water there because I need to know how far to put the cliff. I'm going to finish up with that water once I do Coco's build, which should be the next one. And then right here, I'm marking out what will be Genji's house. And I do this with all of my structures on my islands, is I use just a pathing tool to mark out the spaces that each structure takes up. And this way, when I'm laying out cliffs or trees or whatnot, I know where these buildings are. And it does save me bells as I'm not moving them constantly. So I'm gonna let myself continue constructing these cliffs, and I will check in with you later. And right here, I'm starting to mark out where I want an incline that's going to go back that way, but I realized I didn't really like that, so I'm adjusting it. And now I'm working on the level 2 cliffs. I am going to have a bunch of water features in this area as it is a swamp. So I'm now mapping out that second level of cliffing. And I'm trying to keep it pretty irregular and make it look pretty natural. I don't want it to look too like placed and planned out. Here I'm laying out where Shino's house is going to be. I decided to put her on the second level and give her and Genji their own like little areas rather than putting them right next to each other. I also felt having Shino up on level 2 just added some more visual interest to the area and just made it a bit more interesting. So here I'm starting adding some water features. I decided I wanted like a little pool right next to Shino's house. I thought that'd be very cute. So here I am kind of scaping that in, and I'm trying to make this look as natural as possible, but because it's such a small area, it kind of ended up just looking like a circle, but I think it still works. And then here I am laying out the inclines that I'm going to have in this little area that's going to go. One will go from near where Genji's up to where Shino is, and then I'm going to have the other one go in the back, and it's going to go back to the back of the island where I plan to actually have my house. So now I'm going to add the second layer of cliffing over here, and this area is the main part of the lookout. You can look at many places on this build, but this is the main view that I was going for. So I'm trying to take some extra time and make sure that the cliffs are big enough and that I will have an interesting shape for these cliffs, which is why you saw me go back down and extend the cliff back there. I want to make sure there's enough room to put some trees as well as a few items. So here I am starting to add in some of this water, and since this is a swamp, water is going to be a defining feature of the area. So I really want the waterfalls to look fairly natural and be ever present around. And I decided I wanted a little small pool by Genji's house as well. So here is me putting that in. And I was able to make this one a bit bigger than Shino's, so I can make it less of just a round circle. And now I'm going back over to where this water is against the back cliff. And I'm starting to put in the pathing that's going to go through the swamp. I do want a large flooded area over where the main overlook is, but I do still want water present throughout it. So right now I'm just kind of planning that out, giving water a big role in the area, but still giving people areas to walk around and allow me to decorate later. So here I am working on that big flooded section I just mentioned. So I started off by the cliffs where I have the waterfalls, and I'm connecting them to this little bump that I've now made, and you can see I'm working on connecting them. And that area over here will be some larger islands and then be surrounded by water, so it can really accentuate that swamp-like appearance. And I did have a lot of trouble trying to lay this out correctly. I wanted to make sure that it was still easy to walk around this area, And I want to make sure these islands had enough space to have the bamboo trees that I wanted to use, as well as some items, which you'll see a bit later. So I really struggled with making sure that I didn't have the water take up too much of this area, because then I wouldn't have space for everything I wanted, while still giving space for the player to walk around. And I try to focus on that with my islands a lot when it comes to navigating. I never want you to feel that a certain area of my island is hard to navigate. I want like there to be enough space for people to walk and explore and not feel like you're like dodging items and have to like sidestep. So here I'm laying out the trees, and I do this a lot with my islands and just any build, is that I'll put a bunch of holes down and water down, as you're seeing back up here. And I will then see if the trees fit there before I actually plant them. I do tend to grow my trees from either saplings or the bamboo shoots, so I can have more control over different heights of the trees. But I will usually lay out something like you saw me do there, so I can make sure the trees will fit. And I sometimes use a big tree like that to check to make sure something will fit there before I bury a shoot. So here I'm just placing down a bunch of bamboo trees. I did want some bamboo in this area, but I don't want it to look too much like a Zen garden. I struggled with this a lot with this build. I've done tons of Zen gardens on my island, and I really did not want this to feel that way. So even though there's a bunch of bamboo, I wanted it to feel more like a swamp than a like Zen garden area. Right here I was just checking to see if there was any other areas I wanted bamboo, and then I have now time traveled to get Genji, Shino moved in, as well as the inclines in and all my bamboo grown. I tend to need the trees fully grown to whatever height I decide they need to be before I can start laying down paths or items, so that's why I did a bunch of time traveling. So here I am laying down this path, and this is the same path I used at the entrance. I decided to stick with it for this area. I wasn't going to originally, but I just felt it still fit with the swampy vibe. So I'm laying down the border right now, and I'm trying to make it kind of zigzag around, look as natural as possible. And then once I have the outline done, I'm going to come back in and fill in the middle. I got this adorable moment of Shino and Genji talking, and I'm obsessed, y'all. They're gonna be besties. And then over here next to Shino's house, I decided to put down these mossy rots as kind of stepping stones, because I'm going to give her a little like reading area over here since she has the education hobby. And I just put down a simple section of this path to act as like a foundation for those items. Alright, and now I start putting down items, and I do have quite a few already down, but this is basically what I do, is I kind of just put stuff down. I like to put custom designs under things, as I think it fills out an area really nicely, and the items I'm focused on using are the giant vines, as well as the pine tree, and the decaying tree, and also a bunch of mushroom items since this is more of a mushroomy swamp. And I used a bunch of the skinny mushroom lamps to add some light to the light to the area. I had a hiccup there. As I think I've mentioned, this island's dream address will be at nighttime. So I really want to make sure every area of my island has glowing items to bring light to the area. Have a plan or strategy. I just kind of made sure I had a bunch of items that fit this swamp-like theme, and I'm just kind of going around and testing different stuff out, testing different colors out, seeing what will fit where, and working on and like going from that. And as usual, if you're interested in any of these custom designs, I will have them all linked down below so you all can get them for yourself. As you can see, I started using these wheat field items, and at first I didn't really think they would work, but I really like the vibe they brought to the area. I think that they really add that swamp type of feel, and I don't think this area would feel the way that I was hoping it would without them. And I used them in the two colors that are like the green and the white. I just felt that the more faded, muted colors really fit this like dark swamp aesthetic that I was going for. And that orchid mantis I just put down is absolutely my favorite part of this whole build. I just realized I hadn't used like a bud model. I've been trying to add bud models around this entire island, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna put this down. It might be cute. I think it fits with the area. And it is like my favorite little Easter egg. You'll see when I do the final reveal, but you can see it and it looks like it's perched on top of a bamboo tree, and it's the cutest thing I've ever seen. Who knew I would call an orchid mantis cute? I will say the one thing I'm not a fan of with this wheat field item is you can't push it into place. And I found myself really struggling to get it in the right area that I wanted, because I wanted to try to stagger them a little bit so they looked a bit more natural, since they are quite a boxy item. And it was really hard to get like myself standing in the right place to put it where I wanted. So I know there's not much I can do to fix it now, but that's like my only complaint about this item. As you can see right here, I'm like struggling to get it right where I want it, and it takes like several tries. And here's where I forgot that glowing moss exists. And it is a theme to have this all over the island. So now I'm just going around and cleaning up half the custom designs I put down to put down some moss. I swear we have so many items in this game now that I completely forget about like half of them. I don't know if that happens to anyone else, but if it does, let me know in the comment down below and let me know what build that you've had to half destroy once you realized a certain item existed that you really wanted to use in it. And I know those little log pattern look really weird right now. They actually are going to be where I'm putting mush lamps, so I'm using that pattern to mark out where they're going to be. And I know it looks super weird right now without them placed, but that was just me marking them out. And now I started working on the main path area, continuing that theme of using the wheatgrass to add that swamp-like effect. And of course, the glowing moss that I forgot existed. And now, as you can see, I'm going back in and I'm placing all of those mushroom lamps. This is me just organizing my pockets inside so I could tell which color or which. I want to make sure that two of the same color weren't too close together, because then I just felt like that didn't look good. And here I am adding some more mushroom lamps around the entire area. I want them to, again, just be the central form of light. And then I started decorating this little area across the river from the swamp. I am planning to put Abel's here actually, so I just filled it in with moss for now, but I'm sure it will change. And here's where I actually start decorating both Genji and Shino's areas. I kept theirs kind of simple, which is very not traditional for me. I usually do tons of items and stuff in villagers' yards. But I want to keep things kind of simple since this area was very busy already. So I'm just doing a couple of stone pieces right here for Genji to start with. And some glowing moss as well. And then I gave him a little mush table. I just wanted to make sure that looked good in that spot. Here's me putting out some custom designs for it. And then I put some mooncakes on there. And then this barrel basket is like my favorite. So I was trying to fit it in there, but I realized it didn't really fit. So I ended up just putting, yeah, it's me trying to plant something there. I find those areas by houses so weird, but I feel like something needed to go there. So I think I just ended up doing that custom design just to fill that area in. And then over here is where I found space for those barrels. I love this item. I think they're super cool and they look so good on islands. Like, I think you can put this in almost any theme and I still think it would fit. And I'm adding these fireflies to some of the mush tables, as I do want the fireflies to be an overarching theme across the island. I love that their little butts glow, so I'm making sure to give room for those on this build. And then by Shino's house, I decided just to give her a cute little seating area, as I mentioned before. I love the Moroccan set. I think it really fits with this area too. So I just gave her the couch and a little footrest. Since she does have an education hobby, I want her to somewhere to read. And decided to put this peacock chair right here. I don't know if it really fits there. I may move it later. But I thought it looked kind of cute. Let me know what you think. And I'm just filling in some area with more custom designs and some of the glowing moss just to add some light and visual interest. And I added this mochi pestle, and this is kind of like a weird throwback, but I put it in her yard on Happy Home Academy on my other island, and I just kind of felt like I had to do it on this one too, and now it's become like her signature item for some reason in all of my builds. On Ula Ula, where she also lives, it's also on in her yard. Yeah, I'm not really sure why I decided that, but now it's her signature item and I have to put it anywhere she is. And then right here I decided to put this stone statue. I don't know if it's gonna stay, but I like it there for now. And I realized I needed to put something in this area. It looked a little bit awkward. So I'm putting on some custom designs first, and then I just put down this mushroom parasol, and I thought that filled out that area really nicely and provided a bit of cover for Genji's house and made it look like it's very much set back in the swamp. And that's it for this build. Alright everyone, I have time traveled to the nighttime so we can do a reveal on this area. As mentioned, the dream address for this island will be at night. So all of the reveals to my build will be at night as well, so you can have an idea what it's supposed to look like. So let's go into the swamp. So right off the bat, you come up to Genji. And he's a little adorable jock, who I love. I love all the mushrooms, how great they look all lit up. And this is probably one of my new favorite items, by the way. I'm not even going to try to pronounce it, but it's the turnip barrels. I love it. They just look really good on like any island, honestly. And then we'll go up to see Shino. Hi, baby. And I gave her a little Moroccan set back here because I wanted to have somewhere to sit. And I guess Genji can use that as well. We like him as well. And I want to give you guys a look of what the views look like, since half of this build is a view that you don't be able to see from that platform. So let me just run over there quickly. Still need to finish that pathing. Yeah, so the first lookout spot will be here, and I'll give you like a little overview of the residential area. I know you can't really see Shino's home, but I'm hoping that like I can get a photo of her inside, and hopefully that will like illuminate that a bit more. But the main view is for the swamp area, which looks, look at this, y'all. If you, oh my, yes, you can see the orchid mantis. I was so worried you weren't gonna be able to see it, but it looks so perfect perched back there. And I love all the mushroom lamps. I'm really glad I decided to stick with just the lamps. I thought about using some of the parasols in it, but I'm really glad I stuck with just the lamps. I think just the skinny ones look so good and really adds like a good variety and height to the build. I love the bamboo and I love the wheatgrass. I never thought I would use it outside of like a farming island, but then I had this idea of like, oh, what if I used it as like swamp grass? And it looks so good. And there is Miss Coco. She does live on the island now. You might have seen her wandering around during my builds. Yeah, she is on my island. Pudge is safely on Ula Ula, so don't need to worry about that. Oh, look how cute she is. I'm so excited. Yes, I love it. So I'm gonna give you a sneak peek to the build that we'll be doing next, which is right next door to this, and is Miss Coco's house. So you've seen this in a few of my videos. This is oh, the cave looks so good. I actually haven't seen this build at night yet. So this is gonna be Miss Coco's house, and you're gonna have to climb up a ladder, and there's a pipe in there, and you'll have to jump in the pipe. I'm gonna jump into it. I only have one pipe out right now, so I'm just gonna pop up in the same place. Hello, hi. And then what you'll end up doing is you will be brought into a little area that'll be on the second level back here that will probably go mostly to the secret beach. And that will be the where her home actually lies. And I want it to be like she is living inside the tree. I think that would be a great house for her. And she's pretty much the like matriarch of the island and taking care of everyone, and the most wise. So if you have any problems, you go to her. Yeah, I think that will be it for this video. If you really like this Speedbuild and want to keep seeing me design more of my haunted Dark Fairycore Island, then I really would appreciate if you liked this video and subscribe down below. It would mean the world to me. And I will see you all in the next video. Bye!